The conference room aboard the alien dreadnought Vrexel was a scene of calculated intimidation. Towering figures with scaled skin, glowing eyes, and ornate armor stood in a semicircle, their very presence exuding superiority. At the head of the group was High Commander Zelfax, his voice a low growl as he addressed the lone human delegate standing before them. "You humans," Zelfax began, his claws clicking against the metallic table, "have shown surprising resilience. But do not mistake resilience for strength. Your species stands no chance against the might of the Zervan Empire. Surrender now, and we may spare your planet a swift demise." The human, a middle-aged diplomat named Ethan Reeves, adjusted his tie and looked around the room. His expression was calm, almost casual, as though he hadn't just been threatened with planetary annihilation. He reached for the glass of water on the table, took a sip, and then leaned back in his chair. "Is that it?" Ethan asked, his tone devoid of fear. The aliens exchanged confused glances, their translator devices whirred, confirming the phrase's accuracy. "You dare mock us?" Zelfax's voice rose, his claws digging into the table. Ethan shrugged. No, not mocking. I'm just trying to figure out if that's your whole plan. Intimidate us, make a few vague threats, and hope we cave in? I mean, if that's all you've got, I might need a coffee to stay awake." A murmur rippled through the alien commanders. Such insolence was unheard of in their dealings with lesser species. "You misunderstand, human," Zelfax hissed, rising to his full height. "This is not a negotiation. This is a declaration. Your planet will burn if you refuse to comply." Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. His voice dropped to a quiet, almost friendly tone. "Let me tell you something about humans," he began. "We've been threatened before. Nature threatened us with extinction, so we fought it. Other humans tried to conquer us, so we outsmarted them. Even the vastness of space thought it could hold us back, and here we are. So forgive me if I don't look impressed by your claws and glowing eyes. We've seen worse." Zelfax snarled, slamming a fist onto the table. The impact left a dent, but Ethan didn't flinch. "Enough," Zelfax roared. "You've sealed your fate. Your defiance will be the ruin of your species." Ethan smiled, a cold, calculated expression that didn't reach his eyes. "You keep saying that, but here's the thing. Humanity doesn't respond well to threats. In fact, we tend to escalate." As if on cue, the room's comm system crackled to life. A cold, monotone voice filled the air. "High Commander Zelfax, we are detecting multiple unidentified signals exiting hyperspace in our sector." Zelfax froze. "What kind of signals?" The voice hesitated. "Human warships, sir. Hundreds of them. They are powering weapons." Ethan stood, straightening his tie. "You see, Commander, we humans have a saying. If you threaten us, you better be ready to back it up. Looks like you're about to find out what that means." The last thing Zelfax saw before the human walked out of the room was a grin, a predator's grin, spreading across his face. Hashtag, is that it? Part 2 ***. The bridge of the Vrexel erupted into chaos. Red warning lights flared, casting ominous shadows across the alien officers scrambling to interpret the incoming data. The Zervan Empire prided itself on military supremacy. Nothing in their centuries-long history had prepared them for what was happening now. "High Commander, the human fleet is in attack formation." An officer barked, his voice trembling. "Their energy signatures, they're off the scale. These aren't conventional weapons." Zelfax stood motionless at the center of the bridge, his eyes locked on the holographic display. The human ships had appeared without warning, sleek vessels bristling with weaponry that pulsed with an eerie, bluish light. Each ship was accompanied by smaller drones darting in tight, coordinated formations. "They can't possibly hope to match our numbers," Zelfax growled. "Their audacity will be their undoing." Another officer, his scales paler than usual, interjected. "Sir, their numbers exceed our estimates, and their lead ship is broadcasting a message on all frequencies." Zelfax's jaw tightened. "Put it through." The holographic screen flickered and Ethan Reeves appeared, standing aboard the bridge of a massive human battleship. Unlike the chaos on the Vrexel, the human seemed unnervingly calm. Ethan wore the same disarming smile he'd had in the conference room. "High Commander Zelfax," Ethan began, "I hope you've had time to reconsider your position. You see, humanity doesn't like being pushed around." "You've overplayed your hand, human," Zelfax spat. "Your fleet is no match for ours." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, is that so? Funny thing about humans, we don't like fair fights. We prefer to win." As he spoke, the human fleet began to move. The Zervan sensors blared warnings of weapon systems locking on. But what unnerved Zelfax the most was the precision. Human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their formations tighter than anything the Zervan had seen. Sir, they're targeting our capital ships, one officer cried. Prepare our shields and return fire, Zelfax roared. The Zervan fleet unleashed a barrage of plasma missiles and energy beams, but something was wrong. The human ships shimmered, their hulls absorbing the hits like ripples across a pond. Moments later, it retaliated. The Zervan watched in horror as beams of concentrated energy lanced through their ships, cutting through their shields as though they didn't exist. Explosions rippled across the Zervan formation, turning once mighty vessels into fields of debris. What kind of technology is this? Zelfax bellowed, slamming a fist into the console. Ithan's voice broke through the din, calm and cutting. That's what happens when you underestimate us. Humanity didn't just survive, we thrived. We learned, we adapted, and when necessary, we built weapons to end wars before they began. Welcome to the future, Commander. Hope you survive it. As if on cue, the human flagship unleashed a weapon of unprecedented power. A massive pulse of energy erupted from its core, spreading in a controlled arc that disabled the Zervan ships without destroying them outright. Zelfax gripped the railing, his pride crumbling. What is this? Ithan leaned closer to the camera, his smile now gone. It's called mercy. You don't deserve it, but we're not like you. Surrender now, and you might just live to tell this story. For the first time in his career, Zelfax hesitated. His empire had conquered hundreds of worlds, but these humans, this species they had dismissed as insignificant, had brought him to his knees in mere minutes. The bridge fell silent as the High Commander weighed his options. Finally, he lowered his head, his voice barely audible. We surrender. Ithan nodded. Good choice. Now let's talk about terms. The hologram blinked off, leaving Zelfax staring at the now-dominant human fleet. He had made a grave mistake in underestimating them, and he knew that the galaxy would never be the same again. Hashtag ********, is that it? Part 3 *****. The Zervan flagship Wrexel ** was a tomb of silence, its bridge crews stunned as the human fleet loomed over them like a steel storm. High Commander Zelfax stood rigid, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. Defeat was an unfamiliar taste, bitter and unrelenting, and it burned more fiercely with every passing second. The holographic comm screen blinked back on, revealing Ithan Reeves once again. This time he was flanked by several human officers, their uniforms crisp, their faces as unyielding as stone. Ithan's tone that measured carried a sharp edge. Commander Zelfax, I'm glad you've seen reason. Now let's discuss the terms of your surrender. Zelfax growled, his pride warring with the cold reality of his situation. You speak of terms, human, yet you know nothing of honor. The Zervan Empire does not yield lightly. Ithan's eyes narrowed. This isn't about honor. It's about survival. Yours specifically. I don't have the patience for your theatrics, Commander. Either you cooperate or we show you why we've survived every extinction event thrown our way. Behind him, one of the human officers spoke, their voice as sharp as the hum of the fleet's weapons. Our scans show the Zervan have over 100 occupied systems. A fleet this large doesn't protect an empire. It's the empire's leash. What happens when we cut it, Ithan? Zelfax stiffened. Ithan turned back to the hologram. Commander, do you know why we're here? Why we even bother to respond to your threats? The question hung in the air. When Zelfax didn't answer, Ithan pressed on. We've seen empires like yours before. Bullies with big fleets and even bigger egos. You march into systems, subjugate their populations, strip their resources, and leave their worlds in ruin. You thought Earth would be the same, an easy target. But humanity doesn't break. Not easily, and certainly not without consequences. The Zervan officers exchanged uneasy glances. Ithan stepped closer to the screen, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. What we want is simple. Release every enslaved species, withdraw from every occupied system, and dismantle your war machine. Do this, and we'll let your empire live. Refuse. He gestured to the screen behind him, where a tactical display of the Zervan fleet flickered. Icons representing human ships swarmed like angry hornets, overwhelming and dismantling the alien vessels with precision. Zelfax's claws tightened around his chair. You demand the impossible. The Zervan Empire is built on conquest. If we withdraw, we lose everything. Ithan's smile was cold. You lost everything the moment you pointed your weapons at Earth. But I'll make this easier for you. We'll leave you one system. One planet to rebuild on. Everything else goes. Consider it a lesson in humility. Zelfax's voice turned to a snarl. You would strip us of our identity, our pride. What makes you think the galaxy won't rise against you next? Ithan's response was chillingly simple, because the galaxy will remember what happened here today. Behind him, another human officer spoke. Sir, they're stalling. We've intercepted comms. They're calling for reinforcements from neighboring systems. Ethan's demeanor darkened. Let them come. We've already demonstrated what happens when they try. He turned back to Zelthax. You're out of time, Commander. Agree to our terms or we'll reduce your empire to rubble. The alien commander hesitated, his mind racing through the options. His empire's pride demanded defiance, but the pragmatist in him knew that resistance was futile. Finally, with a growl of reluctant acceptance, he lowered his head. Your terms will be met. Ethan nodded, his expression unreadable. Wise choice, but don't mistake our mercy for weakness. If we find so much as a whisper of Zervan forces reassembling, we'll finish what we started. And trust me, Commander, we won't stop at your fleet. The screen flickered off, leaving Zelthax to grapple with the weight of his decision. On board the human flagship, Ethan turned to his officers. Signal the fleet, begin cleanup operations, and prepare a message for the galaxy. I want every species to know what happens when you threaten humanity. As the human fleet moved into formation, the stars seemed to shimmer with a new energy. For the first time, the galaxy understood. Humanity wasn't just another species clawing its way into the void. They were something far more dangerous. The Zervan Empire's surrender sent shockwaves rippling across the galaxy. News of the humans' overwhelming victory spread faster than light, reaching distant systems and stirring unease among even the most dominant civilizations. For millennia, the Zervan had been a symbol of invincible conquest. Now they were a cautionary tale, a reminder that the universe held unknowns far more dangerous than they could imagine. On Earth, the response was electric. Cheers erupted in cities across the globe as humanity watched footage of the Zervan fleet's defeat. Headlines proclaimed a new era. Earth stands united against the stars. In the command center of the human flagship Resolve, Ethan Reeves sat with his team, reviewing the final steps of their campaign. The bridge hummed with activity, but there was no mistaking the underlying tension. Victory had come at a cost, and the galaxy's eyes were now firmly fixed on humanity. Status report, Ethan said, breaking the silence. Admiral Sophia Kane, a seasoned strategist with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue, stepped forward. The Zervan had begun withdrawing from occupied systems as per the surrender agreement. Early reports indicate a mixed response. Some enslaved species are celebrating their liberation, while others are less enthusiastic. Centuries of fear don't vanish overnight. Ethan nodded. And their fleet? Neutralized, Kane replied. Most of their ships have been dismantled or left in orbit for recovery teams. They won't be a threat for a long time. The room fell quiet as the weight of their actions settled over the crew. Finally, Ethan spoke, his voice steady but grim. We set a precedent, he said. The galaxy knows what we're capable of now. Some will see us as protectors. Others will see us as the next great threat. Either way, we painted a target on our backs. A younger officer, Lieutenant Markov, interjected hesitantly. Sir, do you think we did the right thing? Taking apart their empire like that? Ethan leaned back in his chair, his gaze distant. The Zervan made their choice when they came for Earth. They wanted to burn us to the ground. We gave them a chance to back down, and they refused. What we did wasn't just the right thing. It was necessary. Humanity doesn't start wars, Lieutenant, but when one comes to us, we finish it. Admiral Kane crossed her arms. Still, this victory won't go unanswered. Other empires will test us. Some will want revenge, others will want our technology. We need to be ready. Ethan stood, his presence commanding the room. We've always been ready. Every challenge humanity has faced, we overcome together. Let them come. Let them see what happens when you threaten the species that refuse to die. In the shadows of the galaxy, alien councils and warlords convened in secret. Some marveled at the humans' ingenuity and strength, seeing in them a potential ally against common foes. Others viewed them with fear and hatred, plotting ways to dismantle this new threat before it grew too powerful. On a distant barren moon, a group of cloaked figures gathered around a holographic map of the Milky Way. The humans are dangerous, one hissed. They turned back the Zervan without breaking a sweat. Dangerous, yes, another agreed. But they are also divided. They rely on technology, on cooperation. We can exploit that. A third voice, deeper and more calculated, cut through the murmurs. No, this is not a foe to underestimate. If the Zervan fell, so could we. The humans must be studied, their weaknesses uncovered, their strengths neutralized. The map shifted, highlighting Earth. A sense of foreboding filled the air as the cloaked figures solidified their plans. As the human fleet returned home, Ethan Reeves stood on the observation deck of the Resolve, staring at the blue-green marble of Earth. Behind him, Admiral Kane approached, her footsteps soft but deliberate. You don't look like someone who just won humanity's greatest victory, she said. Ethan didn't turn. Victory's just the first step. The galaxy knows we exist now, Sophia. Some will come for us and others. Others might look to us for leadership. Kane smirked. And what will we do when they come knocking? Ethan's expression hardened, his reflection sharp against the viewport. We'll do what humans have always done. Adapt. Survive. And if we have to, remind them why Earth was never conquered. As the stars glittered in the void, the weight of what humanity had unleashed settled into the cosmos. The Zervan Empire had fallen, but in its place, a new force had risen. One that would challenge the galaxy to rethink everything it thought it knew about survival, strength, and defiance. Humanity wasn't just a species anymore.